So now that we have created our class, we are going to want to be able to actually use our class to create an object. So let's go ahead and go into our main Hello World program where we have our main here. And let's try to create a new instance of this class. So in order to do that, we are going to just create a variable just like we had done before with prototypes, but this time we are using the type printer. And one quick shortcut that you can do here is in Java, if you happen to know you have this class printer in Eclipse, you can hold Ctrl Shift and O, and what it's going to do is auto import any kind of packages that are needed in order to access that type. And there's two ways I can do this. I can do printer, and we will call this p equals new printer, and then I can hit Ctrl Shift O, and it's going to automatically create this import statement. And what this does is this basically brings this package's name into our class so that we can use it. If something is declared in printer, right now we are in this greetings package, so we need to be in the printing package in order to use a printer. And this import statement is very specific, saying I want you to import this class that I am going to use, this printing.printer class. We could also have just imported everything in the printing namespace. But typically in Java, we just import what we need. The other way that I could do this is I could start typing printer. So I will take out this import statement, and if I hold down Control and hit space, and I start typing some of the rest of the letters, I can see there is a printer here. And if I select this and hit enter, you can see it's automatically added this import statement for me. So let's create our printer. We will create a variable, call it myPrinter, and then we need to assign this variable. And in Java, in order to create an instance of an object from a class, we use a special keyword, call it new, and a special syntax of calling a method on the class that is called the instructor. So what we are going to do is we are going to do new printer, and we are just going to do begin parenthesis and an end parenthesis. And what this does is this calls what's called a default constructor on the printer. It's something we haven't created yet, and we are going to cover this a little bit more later in details. But for now, just know that this is the basic syntax for creating a new object out of a class that you have defined. Now, another thing that we are going to want to be able to do is to actually make this printer be specific, be different than any other printer. So in order to do that, we are going to actually need to set the data on this printer. And what we can do here now is we can call myPrinter and dot. And dot is just a way of calling a method or accessing data on an object. So in this case, we only have data. We don't have any methods that we have created. So we want to set the isOn state to false. And we can do myPrinter dot model number. We will set this to ABCD. So now we actually have a printer, and this printer is now specific. It has a state and it has a model number. Now in a real class, a real printer class, you would probably have a lot more data than this. For this example, we are just going to set this data. We can create another printer, call it your printer, just like this. And then we can set different data on this. We could say your printer dot isOn equals to, and your printer dot model number equals FGH. So now we have two different kinds of printers that have different data. So you can see the difference between a class and an object. These are two different objects, but they are defined in terms of this class. So let's prove that we have some data on our printer. Let's go ahead and print out what the model number is for my printer. In order to do that, I'm going to call system.out.println. And then I'm going to pass my printer dot model number. And again, we are using this dot syntax to get the value out of this variable. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. you can see that it's printed IBCD, which is the model number, and right below this, if I have printed from your printer the model number, we would see that it's indeed different. And that one is FGH. So you can see here that we are able to create an object. It's really simple. We just have to use the syntax. We declare the variable to store the object, give it a name, and then we call this new in order to call the constructor on our class.